So you're fresh off of flu season in the house, huh? With twins?
Yeah.
Who got it?
Well, Mabel and Wyatt got it.
So you got two.
So yeah, we're waiting on Waylon.
So one twin
or maybe
and the
we
eldest.
Escaped it.
Somehow, I know,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know.
That happened here. We had 3 out of 5. We did 3 out of 5. So somehow Addison and I escaped, and it was both like the sick, like toilet sick, and then there was like the fever, feel like shit sick.
Yeah, this was pretty quick. It was about 12 hours. Both of them got it in the evening. So like it was like through like maybe till 3 a.m. and then they slept, and then that was it.
Damn. All right. Well, it sucks either
So,
way.
I mean,
don't get me wrong, but
it was like a solid 6 hours of puking.
Okay. What does that do? What does that do when you guys you run a business? I mean,
luckily, so Sunday evening, we take Mondays off. So Sunday evening, Mabel went down.
Okay.
Then she was out, home from school, but then like, let's see, how did that work? She stopped puking Sunday night, so then she was good all day Monday. So then she went to school Tuesday.
This week.
Yeah.
My kids missed school because their buses got vandalized. So.
Well, I heard about that.
My kids didn't go to
that was an inside job.
Oh, dude,
that's a lot of buses.
I told Joseph, I was like, what if kids got together and were like, fuck this, we're not going to school after the Super Bowl. It should be a holiday, goddammit. So,
those things are on like lockdown.
Oh my God, they should be now. Catalytic converters, that's a lot of copper though.
That happened to Brandon's truck
30
downtown.
buses, something like that. Oh really?
Yeah.
Like recently?
Pickup truck. No, this was like
this is like years
2000,
ago.
I don't even know. 11, 12.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Catalytic
10, 11,
converters
12,
are even
something like
hotter
that.
now. They're even bigger now.
Oh, I can't.
They're like hazy IPAs. For anyone who doesn't know, this is my dear friend Amanda Wright, proprietor of my favorite brewery, Workforce Brewing in Plainfield. Thank you, first of all, for coming out and doing the show with me. I've been asking you forever. I know it's a busy time. I watched you go from brewery owner to mom, in real time.
It happened fast.
I wonder sometimes, like, man, I've been in craft beer that long, and I guess it's not really that long because how old's Mabel now?
7.
Okay, man.
Yeah,
it's been a minute. She was on the first podcast that we did in 2018, I think.
Yeah,
in a
car seat.
In a car seat or something, or a stroller or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she even made noises on that podcast, so she's literally has the audio. And now you're twins on top of that.
Twin 3-year-olds.
Business isn't getting any slower or easier to handle. You got 10 years now? 10 years of Workforce? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago Brewworks, Workforce, all that. Holy shit. So, yeah, thanks for coming out. I know it's hard to get out and do, here, Joe wants 3 hours of my time on a random
3 hours.
Thursday. All in all, it's probably going to come out to that. That's just what it is. It happens every time. People are like, I got like an hour in me.
No.
And then they go, oh, it's 3 hours already? What are we doing here? You're the first one to welcome into my new visual setup. Put up a, brick faux wall here and put some gold frames around my beautiful pictures. You were asking me before we started who painted them for me. John Horn, who's my 5th guest on this iteration of the podcast. So John takes care of a gentleman same age as him in his 40s that had an accident years ago when he was like 12. So he's like his caretaker. So they paint together. So he would always send me these videos and pictures of him downstairs with Billy, and they would paint these paintings, and they were all hilarious, like cartoony stuff. He's got ones with like Homer Simpson and donuts all over them, and they did this series called Richard in the Sack. So Richard in the Sack over here, I was like, you got to turn that into a host guest for me. And then I gave him my logo and was like, hey, could you paint this for me? So John and Billy were kind enough to take their hobby and produce some art for me that I could display for the show.
Oh, nice.
Give me a little visual.
Yeah. Little color splash.
So I mean, for me, the reason I wanted to talk to you, I mean, everybody knows Brando, right? So and you were on the first podcast, and you had you got some time to kind of tell both of your stories together and simultaneously through Workforce and how everything came to fruition. But I mean, like, you had a life long before you opened up a brewery in Plainfield, Illinois. So I was just curious, where did Amanda come from? How did Amanda spawn?
Yeah. from an entrepreneurial family.
Oh, really?
We
So
had
you
a
had it in
family
your blood.
business.
Had it in your blood already. Okay.
So that was kind of all I knew was like growing up
Really?
is like you do it yourself.
Really?
So that's
That's got to be a different vibe. Like my dad was always, he worked for companies. That was it. That's all I knew growing up. My mom worked for companies. My dad worked in factories. So it was just like, that's all I ever knew. He's never boss, nothing like that. So what did you take from that? Did you even like understand dynamics of?
I don't think I probably when I was younger, I didn't realize like anyone had anything different. Like that's just what you did, So we had a whole community. So I guess to give you the backstory, our family business was in like imports and reselling. So we did a lot of flea markets and different community markets and street fairs. And I've started a lot with like furniture and baskets. It was like heavy 1980s, like.
Were you guys local?
We would travel for it. So we would be like Wisconsin, some in Illinois, the King County Fairgrounds. Like if you're familiar with that, we would every single month, every first Sunday of the month. But Indiana, Michigan, so mostly just Midwest, anywhere we could drive. And there was, certain ones that would happen every year or every couple months or whatever. So every week, like Shipshewana, Indiana. I don't know if you're familiar with theirs.
I'm familiar. Yep.
Yeah. So that was like in its heyday. It was like, I don't even know, 4 or 5 football fields. I mean, it was humongous.
We went to a lot of those things as a family. Like we went all over the Midwest. My mom loved to like shopping those types of places.
Yeah. So that was my dad would import stuff in and we would sell it at places like that.
Wild. And that was just what they did.
That's what we did.
And then like your mom too? Like your mom was all part of it?
Oh,
she
yeah.
didn't
We
have,
were
like,
all
a
in.
different thing?
Nope.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So you guys were like circus kids. You had to like travel everywhere and do everything yourself and like town to town. You like almost like in a gypsy way, like where you had to hit everything. Otherwise, that was it. That was like the work. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think at like one point, my dad maybe had like over the course of, 20 years, maybe 2 or 3 employees that would work with us, but mostly it was just us. Like, so we would unload the truck, set everything up.
The weekends.
Sell it. Yep.
The weekends
pack it
were
up
the
when
weekends.
we were done.
That's
what we did.
That was it. So like you're in school Monday through Friday or whatever, and everybody's like pumped about the weekend. And you're like, yeah, we're going to.
Yeah, which was fun because we,
Shipshewana
like you would wander around the fairgrounds and get, fun food. And we had friends that their families also did the same thing. So we met other kids that were wandering around. And
so you're like, hope Jake's going to be there.
Got into trouble.
Like, hope him and his family are there.
Right. So, something we look forward to. And then over the summer, it would, we went to Shipshewana every week. So that was our summers too. And if we had sports or, different things going on, we were, able to do those things too. So
were you an athlete?
Yeah. I mean, I played softball.
If you want to call
I played mostly, I played softball. That was like my big. I played basketball, volleyball. I was a cheerleader.
Man, dude,
I did a lot of things.
No,
I don't know.
Sounds like your life
but now it's different. Like now it's a lot of like travel stuff. People are traveling Mine's just through school.
It's completely different.
Park
now.
district.
It's scary now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why kids aren't playing a bunch of stuff. They're like learning one thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
right, because your
it.
life is devoted.
And then they're going to hate it
right.
eventually. They're going to be like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I hate this game. Like, it's going to totally kill their spirit at some point. Like, what? That's life now. That's what we're doing. So this is like all the way up until what? Like how, like, so you're an adult
high school.
till high school?
Yeah. So I would say junior and senior year, my brother was really helping a lot. And I think especially my senior summer, I know for sure, it may have been through high school. I would stay back in the summers. I wouldn't do as much. Wouldn't go like every week to Shipshewana anymore. And I was a camp counselor. Yeah, I was able to do the things I wanted. If I didn't want to go with, I didn't have to.
Camp counselor.
Once I was, YMCA camp.
Hell yeah.
Camp Edwards in East Troy, Wisconsin.
Let's go YMCA.
Yeah.
East Troy, isn't that
awesome.
where Alpine Valley is? Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was fun.
what was that?
Camp counseling was
It's
fun.
like Billabong Park or something over there. Some wild
The-
park I
well,
stayed
I-
at for a Dave Matthews concert.
Yeah,
or something
that's all you
once.
have. Just
Yeah.
you stay there that night and that's it.
That's
that
it.
place
That's it.
doesn't have
Get out.
many things going on.
And then get out. Yeah. So that obviously, like, do you remember like any like goofy stories or anything like when you're doing that stuff? Yeah, anything that were like stuck with you?
Oh man, I mean, we
putting
used
a
to
lot
play.
of pressure on, you know,
I think most of them are just like our silly
like your little
antics that we would get.
band
We
of
would be
brothers
bored,
running
right? Yeah.
around.
So I had an older brother, have an older brother, 4 years older than me, and there was a group of us. And they were like pranksters. Like I would just be involved because I was the little sister that wouldn't leave them alone.
I have to be here.
But they would
contractually.
like, put the dollar bill on the fishing line and put it out in the aisle for everyone walking by, and then
That's
hide
the
under
crowd
the
you
table.
want to get to, right there. Those are
So-
the people. They're chasing that dollar for
Yeah.
sure.
So that kind of stuff, we would dye our hair with lemon juice and
Sun in
yeah,
The
that was the
homemade
new
sun-in?
Yeah, that was before sun-in was a thing.
for real. That was high school.
Yeah, so just goofy stuff like
Yeah.
that. We would just get in trouble and wander around and
And like that experience makes you go like, well, this is the only way, right? Like I can't work for someone else.
right.
Like that doesn't
Well,
make any
yeah, I
sense.
didn't really.
Like,
I guess I didn't. It wasn't until college when I realized like, okay, people like have. I mean, obviously, I knew people had careers before that,
right,
but
right.
that was the turning point of like, are you gonna are you gonna work
be
for someone,
regular?
or are you gonna do your own thing? That was like when I needed to like figure stuff out. Like,
You're a regular person. No,
Right.
Not Amanda. Not Amanda. I like that.
so
So
yeah.
what'd you go to school for? You like what?
So I'm a photographer, also.
That I knew.
I was super into photography in high school and I wanted to go to college for it. I started, I wanted to work in magazines and do like studio shoots for magazines. That was like my goal.
Do you remember like what inspired you? Like, was it something that you would always have a subscription to, or something you'd always pick up? Or
I was really into Real Simple.
What's
you
Real
remember
Simple?
that?
No. What's
It was
Real
like
Simple?
it was like a very modern, for at the time, very modern housekeeping
Okay.
magazine.
So like a edgy Good Housekeeping, like
Yeah, it was like for a younger audience. It was like
Okay.
organization and household things, but it was always pretty. Really great photography and
it's like the way it was shot.
yeah,
was just
and like the
whoa,
paper that it was printed on, like it was
was better.
nice magazine to have. And I don't know, I just got into that. That was probably my first one where I was like, oh, photography and magazines is like a thing,
Yeah, like you get paid to do this,
Yeah.
or like make a living doing this.
So I went to school for magazine journalism at Drake in Des Moines, Iowa.
Shout out Drake.
Yeah.
How about that? I know.
And then they didn't have photography, so I was like, that was almost a deal breaker because I was like, well, I need to also do photography.
Oh, okay.
But they had a community college that had photography, Grandview.
So you had to
I haven't
figure.
said
you
that
had
name
to
in a
kind of
while. I think
figure
that's
it
what it
out.
was called.
You had to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, so they
man.
allowed me to, which Drake,
So why were you so locked into Drake? Just because of the?
it was a small school.
okay.
I didn't do a lot of searching. They
No.
were at my high school fair. I'm like,
That
sounds
me.
good.
Yeah, I feel like I did the same thing in college. It didn't take much.
I went for I went for a visit there, and felt comfortable. It was
Mhm.
like my perfect size, what I was looking for. It was beautiful campus, so I still got that like college feel.
Yeah.
The old buildings but my big thing was I wanted to do photography, so they really worked with me to get a photography minor in magazine journalism. So I was like, perfect. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So the Meredith Corporation is also in Des Moines. They do Better Homes and Gardens and
Oh, no
like
shit.
hundreds of thousands of other magazines. Meredith Publishing.
Des Moines. Who'd have thought?
Des Moines.
Who'd have thought? They even have Alex Lovingood. I mean,
I
they've
mean,
got it all.
yeah.
They've got it all there in Des Moines.
It's way better now than it was when I was
I've
there.
heard, huh? It's improved.
Yeah. So I got into Drake, started doing that. I didn't like writing, but the journalism classes I got through, like, just scooted by.
You were all about
much
the
as I
visual.
could. But
It was
yeah.
all drawn
So
by
I
the
was
aesthetic.
I was photo editor of the paper, the magazine. I pretty much like shot everything possible for every publication at Drake.
Now, when you got to school and you started that program, like as you're going through, like when you say you're the editor of the magazine, you know, of the school stuff, it's like I always picture very like confident people. Like, did you feel like that you had that? Like, was that something that you had at a young age where you're like?
I think that's like the entrepreneurial
like a leader, you know,
part
it's like,
where you're just like, this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
So I don't think I ever probably didn't think of myself as.
Right. It wasn't in your head.
But I was just like knew that's what I wanted to do, so I just did it.
You're like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Like you just had like a confidence about you to be like, yeah, that looks better than that. Like that's what should be in here. Or like, you know,
yeah.
tell people like, I need this. Go.
And it's hard to explain. Like a lot of people are like, oh, give me tips on photography, you know, like, you know, help me with this or stuff. I'm not like a great teacher because I just know it. It's so hard because it's something where, I just like do it.
So here's something that I always think about when I think about photography. It's like, this element of doing this podcast. There's visuals. I was talking to you before we started about always having issues with lighting and like how do I do it right. But I also feel like, if I see it, I'm like, oh, that's good. But something I always think about in modern photography now, and so many people are into it, right? I mean, you know, we're in our early 40s, right?
Yeah, well,
so
it's
easy. Like you've been doing it for years. That's kind of where I'm going is. Like all those years when you get in, especially like if you're our age or even like a couple years older, it's like you fell in love with photography at a time where there were dark rooms and like, you know, you were dealing with chemicals and there was film and there was cranking and this so what, like how did you felt watching that? You know, it's like our age group has all these things, right? Like we watched the internet happen and we remember not cable and then internet and then, you know, like we remember all these things. So how do you feel now about like modern photography?
It's a lot easier.
Right.
I mean, especially like on the phone, like that's doing, you know, it's taking probably 100 images to make one. That's why like the exposure is always perfect, right? Because it's like combining all things to make a perfect image.
Like when you got started in like the idea of professionally taking a photo, like you had to compose a shot first before you started letting it rip, right? Like I was never a photographer in like that era. Like I didn't care about it. Like my brother took it. He's a couple years older than me at West, you know, and he took it and went through the whole thing. And I was always just fascinated. Like you had to be almost careful, you know, like and figure out what you're doing first.
Well, and you only had a certain amount of frames.
You only had so many bullets in the gun, like
so you got to get your lighting, and I mean that's the biggest thing, exposure. Like right, if you don't have it nailed in, you can't really. You could tweak a little bit. You got a little wiggle room. Can
you explain exposure for people who are like, you know, I have an iPhone, but I don't really care about photography.
Yeah.
Like, what's a dummy way to just like explain somebody?
It's just like,
like I'm not a good teacher.
I know. Wait a minute, you're making me. No, just you know, just like opening a shade for a window, right? Like you open it all the way if you need all the light in, close it halfway if it's too bright, close it even more if you know. So. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. There's so much that goes into it. I mean, especially even like dealing with video stuff now. Even the modern version, you know, you see somebody with a DSLR or something, and now everything's mirrorless and all this. But there's all, you know, hey, do you want to shoot on manual or are you going to shoot it in auto? Most people are just clicking their button, getting the pictures of their kids or whatever. But it's like that. There's this element of like shutter speed and there's ISO and all these, you know, all these little things that go into comprising a picture. And then now it's. If you flash back how many years, it's like that was so much more difficult to like.
Oh yeah,
and you were so proud, you know, when you did get it.
When you nailed it, right? Yeah. It was the technique. Now it's like, you know, people are more probably have to worry a little bit more about. I don't even know if you probably don't capture. I was gonna say like capturing, you know, the actual shot. Because the camera is doing a lot of the work. Mm-hmm. But also, you know, now you don't have to worry about, you have 24 frames. You can just shoot until you get it.
It's just like burst.
Yeah.
Like
so
one of those will hit,
it's
right?
Much different.
Like one of those will hit. So in like being a person that you just explained to, or that it was kind of a, like I know it when I see it. So do you, you know, this technology must be beneficial because you can try a few things. You can play trial and error, right? Versus maybe when you started it was just like, no, I got to know what I'm doing. I got to know my timing, my light, my angle, my exposure. All that stuff has to be
It kind of
right.
makes you lazy though, because you're just like, man, I can fix it. I'll fix it in Photoshop.
When's the last time you shot on film? Just for
not
funsies?
long ago. Yeah.
That's cool. That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Yeah.
Like, do it for fun.
Well, I mean, it's probably like a
every
year
now
or
and
two
again.
ago, but
still
that's still pretty good.
pretty cool. All right. Staff pictures, I think, maybe next.
Hey,
Staff
maybe.
pictures on film.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yikes.
Let's get it. Hold still. So so I'm sorry, you're progressing through Drake and taking this program. So what did the editor, photo editor for the magazine or for the newspaper?
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of gets you
magazine.
kind of like
so I was
view.
I was kind of like, okay, this is cool. And then I interned at the magazine at Better Homes and Gardens under the photo director.
How do you get that gig? Simple application?
Yeah,
I
think I just hounded her until she hired me.
Just
I'm like,
persistence.
I'm going to do this.
Handwritten?
I don't know how many
letters,
people
phone calls?
they get to. I don't know how many people.
I mean, it's a pretty popular magazine. You got to imagine.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean,
lot
I
of
was
people
a
wanted to.
photojournalism student at Drake, so I don't know how many people are. I don't know. I just was like, I don't even remember if there was an ad for it or if I saw a listing or if they were looking or if I just started.
Like, I want this.
Hounding them. I don't know. But so I interned there, and all the shoots I got to go on, not everyone, maybe 9 out of 10 were like, don't do this.
As in, like, not the career path to take?
Yeah.
Too cutthroat, too
I was like,
small opportunity?
This is my plan.
Yeah, this is my whole thing.
So that was when digital was coming about, and all the photographers' budgets were getting cut. All the,
digital now.
And we're switching to digital. They're going to go to the AP. They're not going to book photographers anymore. They're just going to get stock images. It was like when all that was brand new. No one knew the future of. And so everyone was like, this is crazy.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that would be like a.
Yeah, so everyone thought their jobs were done because they were like, oh.
And here you are, the bright-eyed intern.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Like, let's go. What do you guys need? Let's do this.
So after that year, I came back and I interned all over Chicago with anyone that would take me in. I did a Bay's English muffin ad. I didn't do it. I interned. I pretty much got coffee for the photographer.
Hell yeah. That's cool, though.
But I was there. I saw the butter melting, the whole shebang.
That interests me to know in the old food photography thing.
The photo stylists with all their tricks. And
did you ever get into that? Did you ever like?
Well,
go
the thing
dive
with
in
Bays, everything they were very strict with everything had to be edible.
Like
they wouldn't use.
Okay.
Yeah,
more realism.
Right. Some people would add glue to things, to make it glisten. And
then burgers look right.
Yeah. But I think it. Yeah. So I think it was him. He was like, and another person that was like, don't do this. So
isn't that like every profession?
That seems probably. Like, I mean, if someone asked me to should I open a brewery?
Yeah.
No.
Don't fucking do it.
Don't do it.
Ask him now.
Yeah.
Ask him in 2025.
Oh. So yeah, I started interning with like wedding photographers. So I'm like, that sounds fun. Met a few. That was when Craigslist was like huge.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like in the day.
Way too many shady
and it was
deals
not,
on Craigslist.
Yeah,
that I've
it wasn't
been a part
shady.
Of. Man, not
when I was on it. But I met a few wedding photographers off of there that became my best friends, and we all got into like our generation of. And I started shooting weddings.
No shit.
So it was.
So how old are you at this point when you started shooting weddings? 20, early 20s?
Yeah, this was like
23.
Out of like maybe 2 years. So my first year out of college, I interned. I shot my first wedding. So that was 2006.
So shooting a wedding, like I have reference for in video and in like helping friends out, but to really shoot a wedding, there's a lot. It's a very like I don't want to overstate it, but like it's pressure. It's a real pressure packed situation.
Yes,
there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of memories and lifetimes of people's memories.
That was
on
most
the
of
line.
it. Is the emotional stress of like
It's
I can't
crazy.
fuck this up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
yeah.
as like a video guy at weddings multiple times, like I've seen it, and like I'm like I had for anyone who doesn't know, like I have shot video weddings, but mostly amateur, mostly for fun. I have a friend who still has a company called Plan B Productions, and he does really good high end like wedding videos. And I've done some editing for him and things over the years, and I've shot for him as like a second or third shooter at some stuff. And like I always give the right of way for everything to the photographer, because it's such a shit show to me, like how they manage all this stuff and the timing and the hour and the sunlight and all, and everything that you could possibly go into it. And it's like, sure, you planned a wedding, like it's not always cheap to get photography, but trust me, you're getting what you're gonna get what you paid for, probably.
Yeah, it was lucrative. It was fun, and it kind of came with my whole thing. Like I would get like that anxious nervousness, before I started shooting. But then like during, I was never worried about it. Like I was never, oh my God, I can't mess this up or whatever, because I just like did it.
Take us behind the curtain a little bit. So like what part of was it chill going? Most of them I would think do like the pregame when you're like watching them get ready and do,
that kind of like would amp up. So yeah, it was like
once you get to let's say for your classic Catholic, church wedding. So like that's to me when I would be like, oh shit, I have to get this shot specifically, and lighting usually sucks ass there in like most churches, right?
Yeah.
So where does it start? Like how was your day kind of like ramping up?
Yeah, it would be like getting ready, and then we would maybe do pictures before, or maybe just like girls and guys separate before. And then, when we got to the church, it was like, okay, everyone's getting there. Like it was like ready to go. I would probably have my resting bitch face going at that point, like game time.
You locked it.
And then family portraits. It was the worst. I would even tell my couples, I'm like, this is going to be the worst part of your entire day.
Everybody's miserable.
It's so stressful.
Nobody's happy.
I always asked for a list, but like it didn't matter. Aunt Sue was still asking for her requests.
And
then
where is Uncle Rye at? Like,
someone's always in the bathroom. That was always so stressful. And like some of the churches, like you literally had 10 minutes, 10, 15. And like they were kicking us out. Like I had to finish. Like you were like done. So that was always stressful. I would always have a second shooter assistant with me that would.
Is that early days, like when you first started? Like when you first started, were you shooting for someone else or like doing your own thing?
Yeah, when I would do both. So when I first started, I did shoot my own weddings, and I also worked for other photographers at the time. So
did you feel like a big difference when you were shooting for someone versus shooting?
It was
your
the
own?
same amount of stress, because then I was also if I wasn't in charge, I was in charge of something else. Like I was shooting the guys by myself for someone else, so that's even like more stress, because like you're like, I hope I get what they want. Or I was like holding lights or going
until they
through
edit. Like you'll be nervous. Like I don't know if she's gonna. Yeah. She might,
like if it was my thing, you can like own that. When you're shooting for someone else, it's like I hope I got what they wanted.
If they're not clear about direction. So all right, sorry. So I kind of jumped in on you. So you usually keep like a second shooter with you. I mean, kind of. Yeah,
because like the guys are getting ready separately. Yeah. Family picture time. I shot very journalistically, like very naturally, so we didn't do a lot of like posing and stuff like that. So
mostly
it was
candid, everything.
So like reactions during toasts, for example, I was covering whoever was speaking, bride and groom, wedding party, and then my second shooter. Shout out to Lisa. She's at Omega East Labs, I think.
Lisa, she connects the workforce story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's everywhere in our story, but so she would get reactions from guests and stuff. So
she had an assignment.
Yeah.
So you guys, you eventually go on to start your own kind of like business, right?
Yeah.
Which
started in 2006, but I mean, I was only doing like a handful,
but
and then
ramped up.
It ramped up pretty quickly. So
at what point in this ride does the ever-present Brandon Wright decide that, like, let's open this business too?
So that was like 2011.
So you're like 5 years deep shooting photography.
Yeah. So I think which gave him the fire because he's like, man, it would be so nice.
What was he doing? You know what? I don't know if I've ever asked him. Maybe he did cover it when we all
I
sat
think we
down.
did, but
what
yeah.
was he doing before?
So he worked at Office Max in Naperville when we moved to Plainfield.
I don't remember this at all.
He was like a catalog. I don't even know what they call it. Not inventory. He like helped design the catalogs.
Okay.
And then he was miserable.
Oh.
So then his dad has been in industrial real estate forever. And his best friend started into it. They kind of started into it together. So Brandon got into that. And he was doing industrial real estate.
Okay. I do remember that a little bit.
For probably the 4 years before.
Okay. What did industrial
CBW.
Real estate involve?
A lot of meetings, schmoozing, showing buildings.
Schmoozing.
Yeah. All the things
like
Brandon
a realtor-esque
hated.
type feel.
Yeah, and talking to people.
And he's watching you kind
I
of...
mean, he was good at talking to people. He always is good at that. But, like, that was, like, people he didn't want to talk to.
It wasn't his crowd.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, he's watching you kind of come and go and do your thing.
Right.
Kinda,
so I'm, like, passionate about
like
my
success.
thing. I've got like a studio downtown. I'm building my business. I love it.
Oh, tell me about the studio downtown. I didn't know about that. So
yeah. So
what happened? What happens to the point where you're like, I got to get a studio. I got to get a piece downtown.
I raised my prices, and I was like, I need to show that I'm legit.
Okay.
So
God,
this was
remember
probably
that
like,
was the thing you had to do.
Yeah.
Like that's,
you had to
that's
show it.
Completely different now. Completely
Yeah.
different now. Like,
so I used to like meet people at like coffee shops or they're we'd meet
Yeah.
somewhere and I show them my portfolio and be like, book me. But then I like
look at me.
tripled my price and I was like, I need a space. So
Gotta flex a little bit.
yeah, so I got a studio. My first one was off Randolph and Green, right above Green Street Meats.
Dang. Whoa. You're out there.
But that was like
that station
if you
one level
would-
barbecue.
if you would have like seen what Randolph Street looked like when I was there.
Not so.
It was ghost town.
Yeah.
It was when everything like it used to be Restaurant Row. I was like in between.
Uh-huh.
So like Restaurant Row shut down. It was vacant, ghost town. I would shoot in the alley where Green Street is.
No shit.
I would shoot back there. It was murals everywhere. It was so cool.
And that was just like fun
we would
passion,
just be
passion
like
shooting right there. That wasn't like trying to make some money type stuff.
yeah,
It was
well,
like
engagement
wedding
shoots
stuff
and
or-
yeah, like
But, you would use it as like a
yeah.
spot. Yeah.
They would shoot movies back there. I
dig
would
that.
see and so that was probably like 2008, 7, 8, 9 ish.
Housing collapse.
Yeah, that's so. That's when I was. Yeah, I had a studio downtown, and we used to sleep over after Dark Lord Day. We would like have 16 of us sleep in my loft apartment.
No
It was
shit.
the best.
So were you living out there too?
No.
Were you were, so
It
did
was
you
just my like crash
had it
pad.
part of the.
It was my. I mean,
part
it
of
was
the
my
studio.
studio, but
Mhm.
I was in a artist loft building,
Oh yeah.
so I had a kitchen
That's a
and
good time, right?
shower. All the
Dark Lord Day.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We used to like bus out there and bus back to the studio, and
Oh my god. And you were
those
doing
were the days before kids.
Well, before a lot of things. Before you decided to open another business.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, I even remember when I started coming into, Chicago Brewworks and the tap room it existed. It was like the bar was there and then the brand Workforce was a part of it. But it was aisles and grain and, a few taps and microbrewery. I think it was on your guys' website at the time, or was that what the wording you used to use? Microbrewery. Yeah. So, and I remember being in there and Lisa working the desk, and then I would talk to her so often, be there on a Friday at noon, pretending to work from home there, and sitting there bullshitting with her. Didn't brew beer at home, but I'm talking to Lisa anyway. I'm just bothering her while she's trying to do her work, and she's like talking about photography, and she's like, oh yeah, the person who owns this place I work with her on photography. I'm like, oh shit. And I don't even think I had met you or Brando. I'd see Brando run around. He had that long hair at the time.
Yeah.
He had the down to his booty type hair at the time, but I was just like kind of blown away. I was like, oh, so like Amanda does photography and Brando has this, but I don't think that's how it really was though, right? Like, cause you were part of the business too, or did you wait until you like really got your claws into Chicago Brewworks Workforce?
Well, That was a gray area.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a lot of things behind the scenes. I wasn't at the shop all the time. But so at that time, this is when things got crazy.
2015, 2014.
No, 2011. Okay, so
obviously, you had the Plainfield stint with the lines and all that. The brew shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the brew supply stuff.
Yeah.
Only. All right.
So
Sorry, I'm skipping. I think it's a problem.
So let's go back to 2011. At that time, I had a studio downtown. So at that point, I moved to my new studio off Halstead. I was at like Grand Halstead in Milwaukee.
So you were doing really well, and like you were able to,
yeah. So that was my like.
Did you outgrow Randolph?
Yeah.
The lease just up, or like
I was looking for like retail storefront.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I was in like a loft building.
Okay.
And now I just wanted my clients to. I was like advanced a little bit more even, and I wanted my clients just to come right in to my like be on retail foot.
Yeah. Where were you guys living at?
In Plainfield.
You guys were in Plainfield at the time. Okay.
Yeah. So 2011, Brandon, or I guess it was 2010 when we were in planning phase. Brandon's like, I'm leaving corporate real estate. I'm opening my own thing. It's going to be called Brando's House of Awesomeness.
Oh, I know. God. Why haven't we had those shirts made at Workforce yet?
I don't know, but
you should probably do that for like I feel like it would have fit nice. It would have fit nice for the
disc golf discs.
For like the ski theme that you go through in the winter. That the Brando's House of Awesomeness that'd be the great T-shirt. You can sneak a Workforce logo on there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, sidetrack. If anybody listened to the beer podcast years ago, Brandon and Amanda told the story about Brando's House of Awesomeness. It's one of the most referenced things I've ever had recorded from the podcast. The people that like I would run into, it'd be like, oh yeah, Brando's House. Like people remembered that line more than like anything I've ever recorded. Yeah, which is
maybe
so funny.
It has to become a thing then.
I don't know. It's just funny that people remember it. Yeah, that was like something that stuck out to everyone.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this was his idea, Brando's House of Awesomeness.
Yeah, like pick one.
And your thought was like, what?
Yeah, like no.
You're doing, huh?
I wanted him to do his own thing. That was like not the issue. It's just like, let's make it successful. Let's pick one thing and really focus on it.
Did you have a name for your business, or was it just?
I was just Amanda Hine Photography.
What was it, Amanda?
Amanda Hine. Okay, yeah, that's my main
photography.
Name. Yep.
So it's just your name, photography.
Boom. So meanwhile, Amanda's in that I also had yeah.
Only he would. That would be the one he goes with. So wait. Did he give you another option besides House of Awesomeness? Did I talk over that?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. So. But I also had another photography studio that I opened that year in downtown Plainfield called Acorn Portraits.
So what do you mean? Like, what do you mean another one? So why did
I
you
split them up because my wedding business was so like.
So you was popping.
It was popping, and I was like definitely like city luxury weddings. Like I couldn't just have like baby pictures, I had to like keep it.
So Acorn, you wanted to move into like your more casual stuff?
Just family portraits.
Mm-hmm. That'd be just the fam side of it.
So
it's a cute name too for like family portraits. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Acorn.
So it was it's on Lockport Street where the new Barrel and Vine is. Mm-hmm. That's where I was, and it was awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So Lisa worked there with me.
What was that,
this
the
was
Opera House?
Before,
The Opera House there, yeah.
And Blue. You remember Blue?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Lisa actually interned with me while she was at UIC downtown. I yanked her out to Plainfield. She lived in the city the whole time, but I'm like, you're coming with me. I'm opening a studio.
My mind with the I don't drink, but I'm like, you're like the face I see every day when I'm drinking. Like, no, I like food and I like photography. I'm like, no shit, and music.
Yeah, she was a really hard worker.
And you're like bringing you out. Yeah, need you.
Yeah, I'm opening a studio.
Don't want
you're coming with
you.
Me.
Yeah.
So then she came out to open Acorn Portraits, and I was like, so side note, we're also opening a homebrew supply shop.
You want to work there too?
Yeah. Sure. And I was like,
why not?
We might need some help over there, like while we get things opened up. And that was when we were moving locations and it was getting bigger. So she would help just like casually if we needed it. And then she really got sucked in.
She really did. She got caught up in the orbit.
Oh, yeah.
She got caught up in your guys' orbit. which I'm glad she did.
She was working at the studio. Then she would work at the homebrew shop, and
a true hustler.
Yeah, so we had a lot going on. 2011, 12, 13 was insane.
Yeah.
And like
no shit.
We were also trying to have kids, and I don't know what we were thinking.
What was the timeline again for like LLC and Chicago Brew Works, Plainfield, and then where the Barrel Den is now becoming kind of the first real home, like but like everybody, like not everybody, but like the OOGs remember that first spot, and that was the story with all the issues and the permitting and all this stuff, and like if you can weave in and out of the story with like how like where's Amanda in photography and where is Brewworks, that'd be awesome, because I would love to hear all that again. I remember vaguely a story about a ticket when you're going in Chicago to or Springfield, maybe? Were you guys in Springfield to get your licensing or something for workforce?
Well, we were downtown
it was
at
downtown.
the Daily Center,
That's what it was.
Waiting. Yeah.
But anyways, like if you can weave that story of like where you're at, where you're going with these studios, and Lisa's on board to like getting the first spot for the brew shop or the homebrew spot, man.
Yeah. So
take it away.
Oh man, okay.
It's
so
probably muddled in your brain too, huh?
So like I would say I got my first studio probably, it must have been probably, let's say 2008, 8. By 2010, I think I got my retail studio. 2011, January 2011, we opened Chicago Brew Works. And
that was on Route 59?
That was on 59 behind Binny's.
Behind the current Plainfield Binny's.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Rhea Drive.
Yes, there it is.
That was an industrial park that was supposedly not supposed to do retail sales. Although our lease said
zoning
we could.
Things.
Yeah. So then the county.
Very official things.
The county was like, nope.
Huge problem.
Yeah. So we scooted around that for a little bit, and then Plainfield was like, let's work this out. Come to the village and let's find a spot.
So how long were you guys in that first spot with all the issues, and you had to like,
I don't even
there was a
like,
blue line or a red line or something you had to stand behind.
It must have been a year or two.
You guys were in that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
under 2 years.
Yeah. And that was just all brew supply. You weren't making beer.
That was like
no
pipe
brewing.
dreams of eventually owning a brewery, but we had no money.
So you're like, we can sell brew supplies.
Yeah. So that was like this is how we can make money. Okay. So it was like a good 4 years of me like carrying the household of like putting every cent back into Chicago Brew Works to like.
So everything you were making at Acorn and wedding photography, everything, So then are you like, well, I gotta get rid of my goddamn studio now?
Well, no. So then if things weren't crazy enough, that's when we rented Plainfield to make more. Cause I'm like, I can do more. Let's do more. I'm doing portraits. Let's do portraits in Plainfield.
Okay.
So
wait, what was portraits in Plainfield then?
Acorn Portraits.
So it was still Acorn, but you still had the spot in Chicago?
Yes.
Or like, okay.
Yeah, so I had my weddings in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I had portraits in Plainfield.
I got you.
We had Chicago Brew Works on Rhea Drive.
That's right.
And then when Brandon moved the shop, that's when I kind of like got a little more involved. When Brandon was on Rhea Drive, it was just Brando's House of Awesomeness.
Do you know that
he was unsupervised?
Do you know that when you say shop, you have deep Chicago roots?
Oh yeah,
like shop. You hit it hard on that one. The shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was. Wait, did he actually call it that?
No. That's what we. I mean,
did you call it?
That's
Chicago
what
Brew
it
Works?
was because it was just Brando's.
Did he
hobby
sell like
shop
desks or not desks, discs and shit for like disc golf or anything?
No, it was just like a hangout,
shop.
Like that was just like the shop.
Yeah, just the shop. I love it. You're hitting it hard. That's the Chicago coming out.
Yeah. So then we were like, let's start a family.
Sure, why not?
Like
Right
we don't have
in the dead
anything
middle
else
of
going
it.
on.
Right in the dead middle of it.
So we we had a hard time starting a family. So that took us about 3 years.
Okay.
So in the middle of that, we were just focused on CBW. I was shooting my weddings, doing portraits, just like
Still
churning,
doing
just like
both
doing
plus
everything.
Brando's thing.
Yeah.
And then this like 3 year span where you're like thinking I'm gonna start a family. Did you guys have to go through like IVF, anything like that? Did you try all that shit and it just nothing?
We went straight to
nothing
IVF. Once we got to the fertility center, they're like, there's no really other option. You're doing IVF. So then we started that, and thankfully it was worked on the first try.
No shit.
It was just like wham bam.
Wow.
So then we're
Okay.
like, fuck.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. How does this?
Wait a minute.
How does this fit in?
We wanted this, right?
Yeah. So that was very exciting, but it was like, okay, we got way too much going on. Something's got to go. So that's when I let Acorn go. I still shot, I didn't really need it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I still shot portraits all around town, and most of my stuff is on location.
Okay.
So like I didn't really need the retail spot to continue that business.
But it was like part of your dream, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
it was fun. It was awesome.
Was it like a sad thing when you let it go, or were you just kind of like, no, this is what we got to do. Let's just keep moving. Like,
Yeah, I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, whenever you you don't want to look like a failure,
Yeah.
That's what Brandon always says too. Like when we had to close CBW, we didn't have
you
to,
guys
but
suck
we
at
did.
everything.
But it's like, you don't want people to get the wrong idea
Yes.
of why,
And
without
you know
the
how it is.
backstory of
People do.
like why
People
you
get the
close
wrong-
it,
They don't think straight. They don't anticipate other things.
Yeah.
They're like, oh wait, no, this is something that makes sense.
Right. So then everyone was like all over town, like Acorn Portraits is going out of business. It's like, nope.
No, too bad the patch isn't there to cover it.
So,
So you,
Yeah.
so
So,
you
I
get,
still had the business, but I didn't have the space,
yeah,
which
so-
alleviated a little pressure of how many shoots I had to do. I didn't have to cover the rent, and
and the space
my
was a
lease
little
was
bit
up.
more of like we talked about earlier. It was a little bit more of like a show,
Yeah.
This is just gives me more of an air of professionalism to kind of put around the business. To it's not like lending legitimacy. Obviously, you're legit. People see your photographs; they speak for themselves. And obviously, this is in a time where that's transitioning. That we're moving into a time where like this retail front-facing space is not as important as it once was. you
Right.
know? So it made a little bit of sense at the time to be like, all right, this fits.
yeah,
I can still do the quality work and just don't need to pay the retail space anymore.
yeah.
So
And that's when we had
those were
already
early adopters of it.
moved to the new space, and we were opening Workforce.
Yeah, but this,
So that
when
was
you when you say new space,
2014.
you're talking about what the current barrel den,
The current barrel then.
not
CBW's new home
Mhm.
then, which is now the barrel den.
It's so crazy to think that space. I have so many good memories of that space. I remember you guys brought in those first heavy ass wood tables. Like, it
Yeah.
used to just be like two little tables there that you could sit down if you wanted to. But
Yeah.
then you guys got like really nice, like reclaimed heavy wood, space in there, and you still had shelves and all that stuff, and everybody, the aisles and the
Yeah.
checkout desk and the
That was a big
bar.
decision to get rid of those retail shelves and put that table in. But like for the brewery, it needed it. We had enough people coming in, but
Everybody was there for Pineapple Express,
yeah.
the beer formerly known as. Anyway, so you're kind of scooting through this thing, and now CBW is starting to add workforce. Like when did they bring? I know we talked a lot about the homebrew time, the homebrew setup, and the basement, and right. There was some coming from the main floor down into the basement for like gravity when we were homebrewing.
Oh yeah, at home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He went through our foundation in the garage to
So wild.
pipe the. Yeah, so he could transfer straight into fermenters in the basement.
Only you'd be like, it's fine, just do it.
I think he was like, "I'm doing this." I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Is
whatever.
there going to be a hole there?"
I got a wedding to shoot. All
Yeah.
right. I got shit to deal with right now. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean. I thought you were about
I
to
don't
jump
know.
right into a
I
story
don't know.
about the
No,
the homebrew
that was
days.
it. That's all I want to remember.
Get yourself an ice cold drink of water. So that Like, what were you guys seeing at the early days of that space in Chicago Brew Works, and when you're selling, you're relying on this area to brew their own beer at home and buy little kettles and carboys and grain and hops.
We actually could not have hit that at the better time.
No doubt.
That
about
hobby
that.
was like really taken off at that point. There was nothing like us in, I don't even know, 150-mile radius.
No
our
shit.
shop was legit.
And
that was because of Brandon. That was his passion, and he wanted the best ingredients. He wanted all the equipment. He didn't want people to shop anywhere else.
Weirdly uncompromising, right? In that regard, like Brandon seems like such an easy guy to get along with, and like go with the flow. But then like something like that he's passionate about, it was very specific that he was getting specific malts from specific places that nobody else is going to bother. Like, I just need malt. I'm just making an amber
and like
ale,
he has that contagiousness about him of like, or anyone when they're talking about their passion, right? You get sucked in and you're like geeking out just as much as they are, because it was just like exciting to like, people didn't know there was all these options.
Well, that's what I always tell people too. It's like I could watch you talk about whatever knife making if it ignites you. Like that. Like, I don't give a shit. I'll watch that for an hour. It's like you see people that are truly passionate about something, and it sounds like he was. And when I first started coming there, I didn't give a shit about home brewing or anything. I was just there because I liked the beer and I liked IPAs and hops, and that's kind of what they were doing. You guys were doing, along with a bunch of other goofy shit. But I would watch him. And like Jake and even Jason Meehan and all these people walking around the shop, and like I'd watch them interacting with customers and people that they were clearly there to buy grain and stuff, and I'd just be like, holy shit, they're so excited about, and they weren't scared to talk about whatever and make recipes and give them recipes. You guys fucking boxed your recipes for people in extract form.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was crazy to me.
It was really cool. And that was the thing, like when, Brandon was first getting into home brewing, he would go to these shops and be like, no one could help me. They don't know what they're doing. He's trying to look stuff up online and look at books and get recipes from, wherever he could.
He saw an opportunity there, huh?
Yeah. And he's just like, I want a shop where people can actually come and like get the stuff they need, because it's not going to be like out of stock like half the other stores, and like talk to someone that actually knows what they're talking about. Like, that was super important to us.
And that totally like is a part of the current version of Workforce, because now you see it like if anyone who doesn't know, like I bartend for you guys whenever you need help with any big events, or people are on vacation or something. So I see it from behind the bar. It's like, or even just as a patron there, if you or Brandon is in the building, it's like everybody wants a piece for a minute. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to say, because like that was the culture that was built from the beginning. And lo and behold, today you guys don't hide from it either. You guys do talk to everyone and shake everybody's hand. Talk to it doesn't matter. Like if you're with your kids, if you guys are watching a band that play, because you just want to be there for the music and just like have a minute with yourselves. And it's like you guys never are like, don't come by us right now. We're trying to do our own thing, but like you see it, all these old school home brewers and stuff. And I mean, I always tell people that there wouldn't really be a craft beer scene in this Southwest suburbs if it wasn't for you guys. So, I mean, I believe that genuinely, and that speaks to kind of what you're saying about like how you guys were like relentless about the ingredients and the stuff you were bringing in, and like there's no game in town like the one that we could build.
Yeah.
So, but the thing I guess I'm most curious about is like when did you kind of transition? Obviously, you didn't never stop shooting photography, but like when were you like, I'm kind of a part of this too,
Yeah. So that was very, very difficult.
Was it
to
weird?
become
Was
a
it
part.
necessity, or was it like you started to get your own little pat? Like you're clearly telling me you went to Dark Lord years. I mean, like you were in craft beer. You liked beer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've always liked beer, and I've always been passionate about business. And when we had Mabel, that was like when I didn't want to be gone every weekend shooting weddings, and it was hard to be gone and be taking care of an infant and doing stuff. So my photography I had put on hold because you book weddings like a year in advance, right?
And weddings are wild, right? You might book 52, 100, whatever.
Yeah, I was doing like 30. That was like my sweet spot.
And you do 30, and it's like, it's not like 8 hours on a Saturday. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's the whole Saturday.
Yeah, I was
it's the
gone
morning,
for like
it's
12
prepping,
hours.
it's putting everything in the cases and putting in your car and getting there before everyone else and being ready to like greet, and then all the way till the bouquet is tossed and everything is kind of wrapped up.
So I was worried about booking because I would book so far in advance, a year to 18 months in advance. So I stopped booking because I was pregnant. I'm going to have this baby. I don't know when. And my worst nightmare would be like, I can't shoot your wedding.
Oh yeah, that would suck.
So I stopped, booking because I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen. We're having this baby and I got to figure it out. So I picked up a few weddings when she was little, but really it was like my focus was Mabel. Like
heart wasn't in it.
Yeah, it was. We just had so much going on. It was like, this is my focus right now.
When Mabel was born, did you guys have the current space?
We were in when she was born, we opened that Worktoberfest of 2017 was our grand opening of the new tap room. When she was born,
and then we did the podcast months later because she was still so young.
So I was on scaffolding at 9 months old, painting those murals, and Brandon was yelling at me.
Of course you were.
I'm like, we got to get it done.
I'm not surprised.
We're opening.
I'm not surprised by you guys.
So yeah, we built out that whole space while I was pregnant.
Gym. Nice CrossFit, right? That was a CrossFit place, right?
Yep.
I'm glad it's not anymore.
Yeah, so then we had that big Worktoberfest party, grand opening, and then I had Mabel in November of that year. So
wow.
That was 7 years ago.
Wow. 7 years ago. And now you got little twinks.
You got
them little twinks together.
Fast forward.
How crazy. I mean, yeah, so when you got, that space, the current barrel den now, but that original space, like, do you remember like when you got that space, was there immediately that small brew system, or did they wait and then develop?
No, because we cut the floor drain in and made that back bar
right off the bat.
Right off. We had all that ready to go.
Okay.
So I mean,
so when we beer pretty much right when they got
the licensing took us. Brandon will know that. I mean, 9 to 12 months. I mean, it was a long time. So we got that space. We put in for our licensing right away. We had everything built out and ready. Brandon was he built the electric brew house, like the setup. Mm-hmm. He built that himself with a friend of ours, Kevin Marley. Shout out to Kevin.
Shout out Kevin.
And he did all the electrical. They were following all these plans, and it was a mess. Only blew up once or twice, but
yeah, it's gonna
happen. So we knew the brewery was going in, but we could sell guest beer until we had our liquor license right away. So we had guest beer on draft.
Who are you guys putting on? I don't remember those days.
Oh yeah, I don't even know.
Brandon got who like your first beers that you had on tap?
I don't even know.
Who knows?
I know we had like probably some Two Hearted and
Solemn Oath or something.
Probably. I don't know. I don't even remember. I know Brandon was excited about it because he could pick whatever he wanted, Yeah. And then we got our licensing. We could then start Workforce. So Workforce came about, the name. That was our membership program to Chicago Brewworks.
Oh, okay.
Our loyalty members. They got monthly discounts and paid an annual fee. So those annual fees helped start Workforce.
They were indeed your workforce.
Yes.
Spelled
yeah.
W-E-R-K.
So we went over so many names, trying to, what should we name the brewery, over and over all these names. And we came back to Workforce.
Nailed it.
It just made sense.
It worked out good. It looks cool too because it's like spelled differently.
Yeah.
I mean that and the logo. It's funny because like people rebrand pretty often, and like you guys, I remember the first times being in there, the old like cardboard cut coasters and stamped with that Workforce logo. It was like just such a cool vibe, the whole thing. I remember going on your website and being like, what am I getting myself into? What is this place? And do they have this beer? I think the first beer I ever heard about from you guys was like like a sleepy bear, or maybe the one that had like the Putin
Putin is a
tilt
douche.
to it. Yeah, one of those beers, and I was just like, oh, and I was looking through your website and there's all these vultures, and I was like, oh, this is just like stuff they've had before. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was like early in where I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna get when I go there. And then I had Pineapple Express, and then I was like, oh, this is my place now. This is where I go. This is where I come. Plus, how close it was. I mean, it wasn't that close to me at the time. It still took me like 20 minutes to get there when I first started going there. Now that we moved over here, it's like 12 minutes to get there, which is great. But it was just such a vibe. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. That old little tap room and that little bar, and the quaint menu, and just the people behind the bar.
That's always been a big thing for me, even booking weddings, and like it's an experience. And like that's what I feel like I bring to the table of workforce, and like really wanted to be my part of, like, I'm obviously front of house, like I don't do much brewing or anything like that.
No. You got a flannel on at least.
I know.
Man,
well, I did make soda and kombucha.
Hell yeah, dude. Did you do that back in the day? You make the soda? You don't make it now, do you?
We do. Well, we still make it.
I know you guys do, but
personally,
did you
sometimes, but I don't anymore.
Okay.
Occasionally.
Well, I used to love that too. That was a huge thing.
But
like,
Brandon
had
makes
it
it
on
yeah.
tap. Like, wow, that's great. Like, so cool. And you guys sold like the soda extracts and stuff for people to make their own. Like, it was cool.
Yeah. So I guess like going back to for me, the exciting part is the experience, and like really creating the vibe, and like
welcoming.
Yeah. And I shouldn't say I didn't create it. Our community has been so amazing. That's half of the battle, is like the community embracing the space and creating, helping create that vibe and experience.
That original vibe was like, it was welcoming, it was cool, but it was also like an old like 90s like skate park, in California.
Yeah.
And you've definitely refined it over the years, and how, like to this current state with I mean, the place belongs to Plainfield and the community, honestly. Like, it feels like it does. And the staff there behind the bar, and the people that come in and know that staff. Like, when I work there, people are like very like, I never seen you before. Like, they're very much like, and immediately I become their friend, after, as long as I'm receptive to their kind of like, where did you come from? Like, kind of situation. Like, I'm their best friend. And the next time I see them, they're just like, Joe's here again. I'm like, it's like, it's family all over the place. So it's like, that original, that original space and that kind of family vibe, or like that. But it also had like kind of a gritty feel to it, because it's, it's a warehouse-ish kind of setting with shelves and grain and stuff. It's a small wood bar. And these people that are like literally, they're home brewers. Like, you got Jake serving you most of your. Jake Schufler was like serving 90% of the beers I drank there. And Jake's not like a crazy talker, but if you engage him, boom, it's like, hey, we're best friends. Like,
yeah. And now he's our head brewer.
Which is insane.
Damn.
Uh-huh. What's LeDuc up to? You seen LeDuc lately? What's this guy doing? He's at Flossmoor?
He talks to Brandon. Brandon and
Flossmoor?
him talk all the time. Yeah, he's at Flossmoor.
Right? Yeah, good for him. I saw him at the brewery not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just out there drinking, having a good time. But I mean, the two Jakes, epic team right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that you guys have really done, is cultivated team. Like, even from that time with, it was like Lisa and Jake and those people, and people tend to stay with you guys.
We
don't
have
leave.
turnover. Yeah. We always say, once you're part of the workforce family, you're always part of the workforce family.
Sorry about it.
There's so many, even from CBW. I mean, it applies the same. Like, when you look across the brewers and breweries that have opened over the last 10 years, like the amount of people that have come through CBW is, or has some connection. It's like Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
I mean,
6 degrees.
Yeah. Probably 2
hats off.
degrees. I mean, it's like
Dave Z over at Moore now. Right? I mean,
Moore,
he's killing it at Moore. And Jason's at Will County now. He was at Moore at some point too.
Yeah.
But Will County
he's
now.
at Will County.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Steve Wertendijk.
Steve. I saw Steve, I think, a couple months ago. He was there with his wife. Still had his workforce jacket on.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, brother.
Yep.
Still representing
Can't
the
get rid
gang.
of us.
I love that guy. He was like the one that I was like, I don't know if he likes me or doesn't. But and now I see him, I get a big hug. I love it. Like, the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been good.
So do you remember what was it like? Because I was already a patron there when you guys ended up, but I didn't know you guys like personally as much, other than Brando running around that small tap room, running pallet jacks around there and shit in the middle of the day. What happened that you guys were like, oh, that CrossFit place is moving out? Like, did you guys always like
those
how
food
long?
truck parties?
How long were you?
You remember
guys,
those?
Oh yeah, yeah. How long were you guys
when
like,
300 people started showing up?
As soon as I get a shot at a space, we're taking it.
Yeah.
Like, is that what happened?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, I remember me, my wife, and then
it was those food truck parties.
Friends.
We would look at ourselves at night and be like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, we need, this
Bananas.
is something. Like, we need to keep this, we need to do something with this because it was fun.
So, you know what? I don't know that I've ever actually heard explained to me by somebody. Maybe you won't know. Maybe you'll be like, it's not my spot. But I always wear, a lot of times when I bartend at your guys' place, I wear the DDH FKA shirt. And people always ask, and I know that there's an origin story of some sort of like a cease and desist, right? But the beer was originally called Pineapple Express, correct?
Yeah. So it gave
it's like your flagship IPA, 7%, dank as fuck type.
When we were first starting out, we submitted label approval and beer name like for every beer because like that's what you're supposed to do. And they immediately came back and they're like, no, it implies that you used marijuana to brew this beer. Because of the movie and all that.
Danny McBride gotcha.
So
James
that was
Franco.
Illinois, state of Illinois. That was like, or state of Illinois, federal? I don't know.
TTB?
I don't know. Somebody who said no.
All of them.
So Brandon was like, okay, it is now formally known as.
They happened that quick? Did you guys actually release it under the Pineapple Express name a couple times?
Yeah.
Like, not in cans,
just,
probably, right?
Right, just on tap.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when we did our first canning, it was just formally known as.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You guys used to have like a 2-head canner or something like.
Yeah, single.
It was single head canner. I remember those days. Those were magical days when you guys were going to put out beer to go. It was like,
yeah.
That wasn't like the funky stuff and like the 375s
right.
or like the growlers. Right. Oh my god, the amount of times I watched growlers get dipped in that sink over in the back. Now you're bringing back all the memories and all the feels.
Glad we don't do that.
COVID took care of growlers, didn't it?
Yeah,
it took care of a lot of things, but it took care of growlers pretty quick.
For sure.
My god. So do you remember like that time when you were transitioning and it, like when you guys heard that gym's going out and like did they come to you and say, hey, does anybody in this complex want to take this building or
I think
you guys heard it and were like, hey, we're gonna go right to our landlord or whatever
I think we had already talked to our landlords at that time and we're just like, if anything comes available,
first to know,
we'll take it. Yeah, let us know. And they were excited about our business, and we're young entrepreneurs just like them. Mm-hmm. Like they own their own, they own half of Plainfield, pretty much with real estate and rentals. And
good for them.
Yeah, so I think they liked us. I don't know. I think they like us still.
Apparently, they
but
should.
Yeah, so we jumped in there, started ripping up floors, and I mean the building's from, I don't know, the 50s. So when we broke into the floor where the brewery was supposed to be, there was like a 10-inch gap of nothingness.
Oh, no shit.
Underneath the slab. So we had to, that wasn't going to hold tanks.
Okay.
We ripped up the whole back of the space, put in a new brewery floor that was going to be able to, hold everything. And yeah, that was a lot of work. But so that was like a good, I would say 9 months of build out. 7 to 9 months. I mean, it was quick for what we did. I mean, Brandon will probably say it was more than that. I don't know. I was 9 months pregnant.
I was going to say you were deep into pregnancy at that point then.
But yeah, we were, and then we thought like, oh, this space is huge.
Like too
We're
big?
gonna
Did
be
you get
able to do all this
You had a
stuff.
point in your head where you're like, this might be too big.
No,
Like,
not that it was too big.
No?
Just now it's too small. It's like
You think so now?
I don't know.
The
We're
brewery
really,
side or both, like for patrons and everything?
No, it's mostly the brewery side.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
feel like
when you
it's
throw
good
the
in front. I mean, we really lucked out with that patio in front.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
never had that until COVID too. That big patio.
Yeah, until the
we
weather
just took it
decided
over.
the weather decided to just destroy it that time. I
Yeah.
remember going to 10 Drops the next morning, and I saw you guys out there just moving barrels and shit off. It was everything was
Microburst
it was
tornado
so
through a playing field.
wild.
Yeah.
It got you guys good right there.
Oh
too,
yeah,
like
the
that,
whole
just the patio
was laid down.
It was fucking wild, like insane how fast that happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, so when you got to that point when you guys were, obviously you're trying to have Mabel and get all that going, but like, did you have a vision already for that space? Like, as you were moving into it, like how this is going to be? Is that when you kind of started to be even more involved and like there's more front of house now to take care of? And
Yeah, for sure. We knew we wanted to do more. We knew we wanted to do live music, more food trucks. We loved the party. Like that was the driving force of like the parties, like big old house parties. Like we love throwing parties. We love entertaining, love the social aspect of the brewery. So we knew we wanted a huge tap room. We wanted it communal, no TVs, just an extension of what we built at the other place.
Yeah, just much bigger.
Yeah. So, community tables, everyone just talking, meeting up.
Yeah, that table right down the middle is everything, right? So
Yeah.
it just,
So
it's almost like a mission statement.
Yeah.
It's almost like your guys' vision statement.
We
right
didn't
there.
have the barrels or anything. It was just 3
Yeah.
huge tables.
Yep.
So yeah.
And then
COVID hit.
I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to me, even in my mind now, to think like, oh yeah, we haven't talked on microphones.
Yeah.
It was pre-COVID that it's been that long. I mean, I didn't even work in beer at the time, and then now, fast forward, I went through COVID in beer in 2 places. At a bottle shop and at a brewery. It's like, holy shit, it's something to weather. And you guys, I don't even remember like what the approach was right off the bat. I remember there being a lot of, because I was mired in at work at phase 3 while you guys were going through it as your as workforce. I mean, do you remember like the first hits of it? Like I remember you guys obviously.
Yeah,
do
so
whatever
this
you
kind
could
of
to keep
winds
your
in
work.
my photography again. This is another tap back to I had my Hallstead studio, and it was at this point where the brewery was growing. I was doing a lot more work out in Plainfield. I'm like, why am I don't need to be driving to the city. Same kind of deal, I don't need to be. My work had stood for itself. I don't need to have a show place anymore. I had Mabel. I was doing less weddings. My studio space was like I would go like a couple times a month.
Oh.
It was just like less and less. So I put up my studio for sale, and it literally closed the Friday of the shutdown, of the national shutdown.
What?
So we were like sitting on pins and needles waiting for the closing was like, it was like 9 a.m. It was like still on. And then we're like, hopefully this money goes through before everything is done.
The banks decided not to do anything for a while.
Closing went through, national shutdown. And I was like, whew.
Wow.
Money
hit the bank.
Couldn't have happened at a better time.
Oh my God.
So I sold the Chicago studio. I was invested in permanently in Plainfield. I was still shooting I did a few weddings through 2020 downtown, but I mean, they were like little micro bursts.
Yeah.
And then that we were like not letting the brewery, like, no, nothing's going to let this thing collapse. So we were all hands on deck.
So
but it was like that week of the murmurs of like, we might shut down, like this pandemic's starting, and no one knew what, they were still calling for the 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we told our whole staff, like, hey, get on unemployment now. So we don't know what's going to happen. Our whole nation is going on unemployment, so get on it before
the
everybody. So we fired or not fired, whatever you call it, furloughed, laid everyone off, got them on unemployment. Brandon and I stayed on, and we're just like, let's see what we got to do.
So what happened? Did you guys actually shut down full operation for 2 weeks, or did you guys have people coming in brewing? Did you guys do to-go sales out of there?
So we just wanted to get through all we stopped production of everything, and we were like, we just have to sell everything what we have brewed. So we had like cans, or I guess we didn't have cans at that time. We didn't package anything. We packaged everything else that was in the fermenters into kegs, and we just did crowler pickups.
Yeah.
So Brandon and I and Mabel would go to the brewery every single day. I would have an online pre-sale and like list our whole inventory, what we had. And then all the orders would come in. They would, have like a deadline. Then we would go in the next day. We would spend like literally 8 hours filling crowlers,
writing labels for crowler.
Yeah.
I feel like
hundreds.
You may have actually put beer into my trunk at one point.
Probably.
Like, at some point.
Mabel was like, and the most amazing little 1-year-old, or I don't even know. She probably was like 2, 3, almost 3, sitting at Pack and Play, watching cartoons.
Just doing it.
Just like, this is what we
I'm
had to do.
help save this business, Mom.
She was the best. And yeah, then we would have one day to fill, and then the next day would be pickup. And we would just, every 3 days, just like,
Jesus Christ.
My God, it was insane.
It's the wild. It was like the craziest time.
But like, thankfully, everyone showed up and bought beer.
We were all dirty drunks for a long, good chunk of time.
Oh,
we sold, I was at Crafted during that time, and we sold so much beer. It was fucking insane. It didn't even make any sense. Like, it's so crazy to think, like, where we're at now, even just from there to now. It's like, you're watching so many. First of all, you're watching a lot of places close down around us. Like there are places that are closing down, and bummer. Some of them maybe it's better off that way. But for the most part, it's like you're seeing. Now we talked about this at the beginning, right? Don't do this. That's like don't do photography. Like now is the time where you'd probably be like, don't open a brewery. Like, don't do it. But places like your guys's that are just like such a part of the community. It's like I don't know. I didn't live it with you guys, but from outside looking in, it was like, oh my gosh, they almost don't worry about it. Like they have such support that people love it so much, and they put out such a good product, and it's like because you guys did so much of the work and have so much of the integrity that it didn't phase you guys as hard as it did a lot of other places.
Yeah, we were just doing everything we could, and then when outside consumption opened up, we like blew that patio up, like fit as many people as we could out there. It was the middle of winter, made it a ski chalet.
Yeah,
we're like,
still do it now.
Yeah, we still do it because it was like
the
best. But people would show up in their snow gear and sit by the we had heaters out there, fire pits. People would just sit out there and drink, and it was thank goodness.
I mean, the support. Like, what did you guys have like crazy thoughts during that time? Where like this might kill us right here.
Yeah, well, especially when it went over the 2 weeks, we were like, what?
Yeah, like,
how long do we have to do this?
Wait a minute.
Is this ever gonna come back to like people coming in the tap room? And like even when we were doing the outside consumption, it was just so awkward. Like, oh yeah, stay outside. Yeah. And then once we were letting people in, the whole 6 feet thing, and it was stickers like, are people gonna do this? Like, actually want to still come out? And so it just we just went through the waves of like whatever we had to do, we did it the best we could, and still try to keep our vibe and positive, and like come hang with us.
Tough to abide by all the standards, and then like still keep like a vibe that you've built over all these years.
Yeah, but people were at that point, people were like excited to go out, and like we could go do stuff and see people, and people would meet up there, and it was kind of like some people's safe place where they only maybe picked a couple 2-3 places that they would actually go. And
I feel good here.
We always had the doors open and fresh air coming through, and people were respectful of each other, and I don't know. It was just kind of like, okay, what do we got to do? What do we got to do next? And just follow the rules. And, the biggest thing is just made people comfortable. And
there's still people right now trying to figure out what do we got to do. Like it's such a different world now with craft beer, and obviously you guys talked about hitting that. You had talked about how you guys hit that spot in the homebrew side right at the right time.
Yeah,
this hobby. I always talk about like the hockey stick or like up and to the right. Everything was up and to the right, right? And we went through like that whole thing. And you guys were there when it started really, and then as it started to tail off, but. Again, I always tell people about your guys' place and just being like, this place just built it the right way. So it's supported by their community. It's not supported by like this 1% of people are traveling for like motor oil stouts and, like these crazy things that are going on, or just hazy IPAs and all that stuff. You guys have found a way to like do everything so well and like rely on your lager game and your locals and your, all these people that just support from the community. And it's not like you guys are in like crazy high traffic area with you don't have like a Chipotle right next to you, and like it's you guys have found a way to do it right up behind off the train tracks, and like it's not like you guys are way out of the way, but it's not like you guys are on a main thoroughfare either, right? I mean, it's very impressive what you guys have managed to do for all these years, and nothing is slowed down. I mean, I see it firsthand all the time when I'm there.
Yeah, I think it's just, people are like, what's your secret?
Be nice to people.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
make good beer.
The biggest thing is, we have really good beer.
Having good integrity.
But like the experience of coming into the tap room is one thing, it's definitely a vibe and experience. Mm-hmm. But like if that beer wasn't amazing, like that experience isn't going to get you there.
Not even if it's not amazing. If it's trash, it's who's coming back?
Yeah. So
you guys are lucky enough to
like we have great beer.
Well, and you guys have also sprayed to every field you could possibly think of. You guys have medals in categories people have never heard of. You guys have medals in standard categories that everybody loves. Like you guys, nobody like Brandon would text me sometimes as like a joke and be like, "I have 7 West Coast IPAs on right now. Suck it," like, and 0 hazies.
Yeah.
Or he'd be like, "We have 1 Foggy Rhetoric on, and we have 9 lagers on."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you guys are an anomaly in that regard, where you guys can do that, and it's completely unaffected. And that speaks to the quality and of the people, the experience. All of those things go together, right? The other thing I don't know the full origin story. All I know is I pulled in that 10 Drops parking lot one morning. Shout out to 10 Drops coffee shop right by Workforce Brewing. If you're not familiar, they have the best coffee and best coffee beans. They're like little science nerds making your coffee. It's fucking amazing. But I was pulling up to 10 Drops and I see Brandon and Eric Pizer carrying a sink across the parking lot. I'm like, okay, I gotta get out and ask a question here, see what's going on. And Brandon took me in and showed me how you guys were building out the kitchen for Happy Belly. So how did that whole thing start? Like, where's the origin story there?
So when we built out the new tap room, or our current tap room, I always say the new.
It is still it feels new for some reason when I'm in there. I don't know
7 years.
why. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's old as shit now. It's Mabel old.
Yeah. We did the grease trap and built out the frame of that kitchen space.
So you guys knew.
We knew we wanted food.
But it didn't.
But we knew we didn't want to do food. Us personally.
So it always was a thought of somebody else doing it.
Yes. Yeah. We were doing all the food trucks and the pop-ups, and we knew a lot of people. And we knew we could find someone that would, match our style and our values and our, everything we wanted in the kitchen to be able to run that for us and be independent of us. So we went through a few hopings that almost came together but didn't. And then Happy Belly had done a few pop-ups. Like their food was always delicious, scratch cooking, homemade, and they're just lovely.
Like good,
Kathy
reliable
and Kelly
human beings
are amazing. And
they're so great.
Yeah, we were
Shannon taught one of their kids back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're the best.
Yeah, they're the best. And it's just, they make comfort from scratch, just delicious food.
Some of that braised grilled cheese thing that they do, the onions, or like the French onion soup grilled cheese thing. Whew.
Yeah.
Whew.
So it sat empty for 4 years. The kitchen did. It was like our staff break room and catch all of shit that we piled in there. And finally it clicked with Happy Belly, and we cleared everything out, started doing we already had like plumbing and electric, the grease trap, the big stuff, but there was no like appliances or anything in there.
So how's that work? Did they come to you? Did you come to them? Like you were actively searching that out, or?
It was kind of like we weren't rushing it, but when we
talked about it,
we kind of, I think then they did a few pop-ups and they wanted to move out of their, I think we heard murmurs of them like wanting to move out of their shared kitchen space.
Okay.
I to be honest, it's kind of blurry. I don't really know. I'm sure
I don't know. I was having twins. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That was about the point.
I see a pattern here when the stories get a little
when they
looser.
Get blurry. That's when I was pregnant with the boys. And we got like a license agreement together, and
food's excellent too, by the way. It's the
killing
perfect thing for workforce. The crazy thing is, like, I always joked around and talked about, and we always talked about it too as a team when I worked for Phase 3, like, we can get people to travel 2 hours to come buy a stout, but we can't get the person that lives 5 minutes away to come have a lager. Like that was like this thing. It's like there are locals even, or like people that come to workforce and they don't realize that we have food. Obviously you come and you see the window, you're like, oh, they have food now.
Yeah.
But like there are people that know about workforce, but they're like, oh, they don't have food, right? Like even after how many years now Happy Belly's?
Yeah,
3 years. 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I never hesitate to be like, hey, there's also food there too.
Yeah, I know. I do feel like that's been a little more difficult getting the word out of.
Yeah, I mean, and this isn't against you. It just takes time to build, to build up that kind of, I don't know, that it's like word of mouth, like grassroots kind of feel to it. It's just, or people just like, maybe they've been there and they saw the food, but they're like, oh yeah, they do have food,
Yeah.
Plus you guys are in a Plainfield, and it's like, oh, I can go to Station 1, I can go to all these restaurants to Clifton now, and all these places, Sovereign, downtown Plainfield. It's like, oh yeah, you forget. I spent years coming to your guys' place and like basing where we're going to dinner that night, who's close to workforce, so we can go there for like the after or before, and then go to eat. So now we're like, oh yeah, and my kids love like the pretzels and they love the flatbreads and all that stuff. So it's like now it's easy. It's like one-stop shopping for us.
Yeah.
Like, boom, we're just going to workforce. Done.
Yeah, they've been great.
Yeah, so far so good, right? We kind of skipped over having twins too. That happened. You went from 7-year-old Mabel now, and then the twins are what, 3?
They just turned 3. So 2022.
Remember we went to we met up in Minocqua.
It's all a blur.
We went up in Minocqua. What was that place? Oh, outside
Black Bear Bar.
Black Bear on 70, right?
One of our favorite places.
The mosquitoes were crazy that night, though.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I was glad to hang out with you guys like outside of there, because I've always known that you guys had like a spot up there. My uncle had lived there for about 10 years. He just moved. He just sold the place and went to Crossville, and he ends up selling it to Tyler. And
shout out to Rocky
Christine.
Reef.
It's Christine.
Yeah,
no,
Christy. Yeah.
Christy, yeah. Yeah, dude, how they're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
They look like they're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I've been there in 2 years.
They're doing great.
But
actually, yeah, we're dropping Stupid Sticky Fingers.
Hell yeah.
Next weekend.
Is it a new batch or is it a barrel aged batch?
Barrel aged.
Barrel aged. Of course it is. Why not? Yeah. You're dropping it here at
both
Plainfield?
Locations.
So the Rocky's getting it.
Rocky Reef and Workforce.
Do you remember? I remember the social media posts of you guys like roasting the marshmallows by hand out.
Yeah,
back.
Tyler's actually coming next week.
God
They're gonna brew for next year.
I love that. I love that you guys still do that. It's
yeah, and then we're going to be up there this year for the release. We'll be
really?
Up, yeah.
It doesn't always happen, I assume.
No.
Huh?
Yeah, so we'll be able to get them beer. And
they expanded pretty heavily, right, with their brew system and their canning line and all that, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, a few years ago. They just got a new canning line, but the brew house now they've had a few years that they've added fermenters and Yeah, they're doing good.
If anyone heads up to the Northwoods, you got to make a stop at
Woodruff,
Wisconsin, just south of Minocqua. Just south of Minocqua. No, it's just north of Minocqua.
North, yeah.
Right, that's right. Just south of Arborvitae, where my uncle lived. But I mean, their beer, outstanding. It's pretty awesome that you guys have that relationship. Obviously, he's a Joliet kid and he's from the area, but that Sticky Fingers every year, banger.
Yeah. Well, they walked into CBW one day and they're like stacking up. By the 50-pound sacks.
What are you doing?
Yeah, we're like, what are you guys? They're like, we're moving to Wisconsin and we're starting a brewery. We're like, whoa. And then we didn't really know them, at that point. And we would, be up in Minocqua, and we were at Minocqua Brewing Company at the time. This was before.
Yeah, right on the beach. Right on the beach there.
And the bartender was talking there's a new brewery opening called Rocky Reef. And we're like, what? A new brewery in Minocqua? Like, what? And so we're looking it up online, and we're like looking, and then we're like, I wonder, could that be like the same people? So we're looking and we see their picture and we're like,
they're so young and full of life.
That's the same
beautiful,
people
no
from
kids.
CBW.
These two are just doing it. Now I've watched them grow to giant
now
family.
They got 3 kids. Yeah.
They own my uncle's old house, which is the most beautiful house. I love their place. I'm glad that it went to somebody cool like them. I had a love affair with that house very specifically. So we were on a boat like years ago. I don't know. It was probably 2018 or 2019 at my uncle's place fishing, and I'm like the craft beer guy. My brother doesn't give a shit about beer or anything, and then my cousin Brad, who's my age, was just like whatever. He's just there. He loves to fish, And I was like, "You guys want to go out after this?" And they're like, usually we just sit around and watch TV with the uncles and dads, and we go to sleep. And I was like, I'm gonna go have a beer and I was gonna go to Minocqua Brewing Company, and then I Googled for directions, and just to be sure, like I knew where I was going, and I see a different brewery pop up. I was like, wait a minute, different brewery here. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. So we go there. As soon as we get out of the car, we run into people that my cousin Brad went to high school with at Joliet Catholic. They're playing bags out front, and I immediately fell in love with the place. And then I get back and I think I was talking to Brandon or something. He's like, oh yeah, I know Tyler, blah blah blah. And then immediately hit Tyler up and was like, you want to do the podcast? And went up there again the next year, and he had beer waiting for me. They did the podcast with me. It was awesome. Like, good people. And like Shannon and I contemplate going up there now, even without my uncle living there, just to go up there and go hang out and go to the brewery, because we love it so much. So it was a little like workforce vibe up there for us.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's next? I mean, there's like in a brewing world, and a craft beer, Chicagoland craft beer world, where it's like everybody's got to do fucking bingo and singo and trivia and all this stuff. You guys like get by with doing live music and really good beer and your releases and luau parties, like all these things that are like what you talked about, like these house parties.
Yeah.
Like one of the first luau parties like blew my mind. It was crazy.
Well, the first one was insane.
That was the one where like you were like basically waiting outside the barrel den to get a beer at the new spot. Like,
we pulled up and Brandon was like, "What did you do?"
Slushies on the
and I was
internet.
like,
"That's what you did.
We're having a party."
You messed up.
That's what we're doing.
You put pina coladas and shit on a post, and then everybody's like, that's where we're going.
Yeah. Well,
and then the last one with the fire dancers and shit was insane too.
Well, I think what happened that first year, we did it on a Friday night. So the whole entire day's audience came within 4 hours.
Yeah, we were there. It was awesome.
So it was like 400 people.
It sucked getting a beer,
at the
but
same
we were
time.
there.
Yeah. So now we do it on Saturdays, in August. It's usually the weekend school starts, and we have still 400 or 500 people, but it's over the course of the whole day.
Yeah. You watch Nick just constantly refilling the slushy machine.
Oh yeah.
So cool.
They love us for those slushies.
I love it. But I mean that like I said, in that world, like where everybody has to, like we have to do all these big events all the time to just keep people coming in and keep them interested, and we have to make 4 double hazies every other week and new cans and new label. Like you guys have found a way to like you make some new stuff and like you dabble in the hype stuff, but you just continue to make like awesome beer, and you do like good events, solid events. Your musicians are always like what you guys would probably want to listen to.
Yeah,
and
it's very selfish.
Well, it doesn't matter, right? Because every time
yeah.
we have music there,
And
it's
if you
like
own your own
there's
place, you might as
people
well.
everywhere. There's
Yeah.
people there, and you guys have one of the most like setups for music, like where it's like, oh yeah, it costs money to invest in like a portable stage like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like this gives you such an advantage of like the quality of the music, and it sounds good in there. It doesn't like. You know how many times you've been to a place where you're like, it's going to sound like shit in here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In our space, it's a little tough. It's, wood ceilings, cement box, but
yeah, but that
works.
stage and like the way it sets up great. I think it sounds good in there. Everybody seems to have a good time when they're in there. Like people pack that shit out when you guys have bands there. So no complaints, right?
It's fun. Oh yeah.
And that's something that drives you guys, right? I mean, even if totally detached from the brewery, you guys are music people.
Yeah. We just like having a fun time.
Is that it?
And we like having parties.
You just kind of like music?
Yeah.
That's
I mean, Brandon really likes music.
Yeah, he's the guy.
But like, I really like music. I like the social aspect of having a party. Really. that's my
Where do you
vibe.
think that stems from? What do you think it's like?
I don't know.
Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think it was definitely
that are, like,
fueled.
are entertainers, and there's people that are like, I don't even want.
It was
to be
definitely
around people.
fueled from shooting weddings. Like I loved
That atmosphere,
seeing like all the different events and like what I was at like luxury, like high end weddings, so there was like no expense
when you were
like held back.
What do you do for a living? That this is okay.
Yeah. So like it was just always like every detail was on point, like and they thought of everything, and it was just like, man, that is awesome. So I don't know, not that
into the brewery.
Yeah. So not that it's like the same, but I try not to be too hard, and you're part of our staff, but like I'm very detail oriented and like I will walk in at like the worst possible times. Like I'll walk in when like the song is changing and I'll be like, why isn't there music playing? But it's like I literally hit the milliseconds when it was changing
Nick's
between
like,
songs.
I'm changing to Post Malone right now. Hold on.
Yeah. So like little, I don't know, like those things are so important to me that I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but like
no, I think you know what you're saying. Like you care.
I'm
you care.
I'm hard on everything to make sure that everyone is having the best experience every time they walk in the door. It could be a Wednesday at 3:00 in the afternoon. Like they should have the same experience that you're coming in Saturday at 5:00.
Yeah, it's probably because you realize that that doesn't just happen. People having that kind of fun in those situations don't just. It takes some sort of work to get there. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so that would explain why you're passionate about making that happen. So when's the last time you shot something for photography
Actually,
purposes?
I just did
a paid gig or like just a passion gig? Like
it was a little bit of both. I did a pop-up event at Workforce actually to fuel my inner self.
Tell me more. What do we do?
What
did I miss?
It was called Capture the Love. It was a Valentine's pop-up.
Wait, when did this happen?
Portrait event on Saturday.
Last Saturday.
So I did like 10 to 15 minute mini sessions.
Oh yeah, Shannon did tell me about this. Yeah, was it in the Barrel Den?
It was gonna do it in the Barrel Den, but I ended up
Did you advertise it in the Barrel Den? I thought she said
it was. I did it in the party space at the tap room. It worked out great.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was so fun. So this kind of
break it down. What happened? How did people sign up for it? Or
I just put it on the website and social media or newsletter. Just be like, hey.
And then what happened? Like people
So I did a pre-sale.
Up?
I did a pre-sale of time slots. So you pick your time, book your session, and then people just showed up and had a little fun and took some pictures and
they were like family portrait type stuff.
Yeah.
So like, give me some examples. Like, were they like goofy ones, or were they like people trying to be like real serious? Like, this is the motherfucker that's hanging over the mantle.
No, it was super. I guess a little bit of both. Uh-huh. I had Valentine's Day
silly
props
faces and like okay.
Yeah, so we had some fun with it. The whole thing with a mini session is it's literally 10 minutes. Like, take some pictures. Don't mess. The kids like get into it. That's all they get into it for 10 minutes. They're done by after that, anyways. So. Yeah, there was a lot of families. There was someone like a maternity session, someone having their
damn.
50th wedding
So
anniversary.
there's just a
They
little
came in.
random bag of
Yeah, it
tricks
was fun.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Did it spark anything for you? Where you're like, huh?
Well, so I'll
Like,
kind of give
you-
a throw. So I had our family had a very significant loss of my uncle last month, and he was a photographer, and he was a huge inspiration to me.
It hit you a little bit.
Yeah, it
That's
was
cool.
rough. It was rough for our whole family. So, yeah, I just was kind of reminded not to lose that passion.
Yeah, that's awesome. That I know it sucks that had to happen, but I mean, like, that's a cool spark to take from a terrible situation, right?
Yeah.
there.
So I was like,
It's hard, right? It's hard to remember.
well,
right?
and like, I mean, we have like our life is crazy.
Yeah, you
Like
guys
we
are
have so
nuts.
much going on that I've put that to the back burner of this is our era, I'm a
Yeah.
mom right now.
Yeah.
We are, doing the brewery thing, which is amazing, but like I kind of left myself behind.
Brewery sounds cooler than like small business owner.
Yeah.
We're doing the
Well, we're
brewery thing. Well, you're doing the small business
I mean,
owner thing.
Yeah.
And
That's
you know,
all. Brandon and I do a lot of the business. We don't get to do the fun stuff.
Yeah, you guys don't get to do anything cool anymore. It's true.
But
It is fun when I get to see you guys like taking in the band or something late on a night. Like when I see you guys without the kids, I'm like, holy shit, they got out. They did
Yeah.
it. They did it.
Yeah. And some of the like the band thing is like, we do have like a date night or a babysitter or something. It's funny that like people are like, you came to the brewery.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we built this place because this is what we wanted.
We didn't build this for you.
this
We built this for
space-
us.
Like that's where we would want to go hang out. That's how we built it, is like somewhere where we would want to enjoy.
Hell yeah. And
Which
you
is
guys do
like
it.
sometimes it's hard because like you said, people are coming up to us and talking and stuff, which
Yeah,
is
it's a
like
lot.
we signed up for that. Like we love it. But also like we can't just I don't want this to sound bad, but we can't just go and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like
It's not like I'm like
double-edged
I'm,
sword.
I'm Kate Winslet. I can't get a night out to myself, but it's like you guys are very beloved in that community, and that's who comes to Workforce Brewing is our community, and it's just that they see you guys and they know the kind of people you are, so they're like instantly like, I'm gonna go ask you guys about the kids or what you're doing,
which
and
we we wouldn't show up there if we didn't want.
Well, just try. I
But-
mean, I have 100 recorded audio episodes, and I'd say 90% of the owners and head brewers and things try to escape or hide away from their patrons, and not out of any anguish or disgust or like maybe they're an introvert, maybe they're just like tired, maybe they're or maybe they just don't want to deal with it. Whatever it is, like you guys. I've never seen you do it, so it's very impressive, and clearly you don't really mind that much either.
No, and we're that much of the community as the community is itself. Like we live in Plainfield.
And you guys support all those other
you know,
businesses too
yeah,
that are
so-
around you that come and support you guys. Like I love the relationship to see like the guys from 10 Drops just walk behind the bar when they get there, and we go to 10 Drops before a shift and they just hand you coffee. It's like an $8 cup of coffee, and they're like, "Here, you work for Workforce? Here you go, have a cup of coffee."
Yeah.
It's like it's old school in that way. That I think is super cool. The one other thing I did want to ask you about, it was in my head and just didn't flow into what I was asking. You guys, you got involved in the Women's Brew Day this year, right? Did
Yes.
you get involved with the thing with Charlotte? They just they're
Vibes.
releasing it, right? With the wood paneling and stuff.
Yeah.
It's coming out 15th
Next week.
this week, this
This week?
Saturday, right?
Yeah.
It's the 13th.
We
yeah.
personally don't have it at Workforce, but
Jerks.
we
But
were.
you guys hosted something, didn't you?
we did
Weren't
not.
people there? I thought somebody was at. I thought there was a group at your place. Maybe it was Solemn Oath. I'm thinking.
We
of,
we brewed it at Solemn Oath. We were there
Mhm.
on the brew day,
That's
and
right.
they had a big.
Alita said
event.
she was there.
Yeah,
and-
it was awesome, and what they're putting together is so cool. We love like supporting all that, and it's cool to see the community of women that have, emerged through. Then, like, I alluded to this when I you asked like how my merge happened and how I started becoming more involved in CBW and Workforce, and I think my only mention of it was very difficult, but I have done so much for the business over the years that in the beginning when I was doing more and more and but it was like always Brando's thing.
Yeah.
And I was always overshadowed by that. And it was fine because it is like Brandon's thing. It's totally
he's such a personality too, right? Like, I mean, we had times in the first audio podcast where we were like, wait a minute, let's let Amanda tell the rest of the story, or like fill in some of these pieces.
And I think, a lot of that in the beginning, I mean, this is like, 2011, 12, 13. I mean, probably like 13, 14 when I was really getting more involved. And it was very new to see women in the industry at that point.
Much fewer and far between.
And it was nowadays. Like just assumed that Brandon did everything.
Right.
Or like he would be like, I don't know, you got to talk to Amanda about that. But like they would always funnel through. It would like always, everyone would always want to talk to Brandon first. And then it would and then he'd I
guess if we have to talk to Amanda, we will. But
nobody wanted to.
What is she doing? She's shooting photography.
She doesn't know what's going on.
Well, I mean, that's still, I mean, you talk to even bartenders nowadays, you'll see it. Some guys will just look right past them.
Yeah.
If they have a question about something, like, and shit. I tell anyone now, like the crew you guys got behind the bar, it's like, give me Myra or Aaliyah. Like, that's who you want to talk to right now.
Yeah.
I'm just learning the menu when I walk in. They know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's awesome. The shift
the push
in the industry.
Well, you get people like Emily and you get people like you and people like Charlotte and people, there's Vicky. There's lots of people in the Chicagoland beer scene that are like, at least they're pushing it forward. They just keep pushing it forward, and you guys never hesitate to like pay it forward or host or participate or offer. Whatever it takes to push it in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you got.
I don't know. Yeah, no, it's good to like finally, after, I don't know, 10 years of silently being in the background of like,
you feel like,
I feel like people kind of know me now.
Yeah, people know me. Yeah, that's evidenced by when I see you guys there, and I'm like, I can't even go say hi to them because I got 30 other people trying to talk to both of them, and they're trying to watch music and they're trying to, or parent a kid or whatever it is. It's like, that you guys have earned everything and the respect and all that, about what you do, and not only as like a brewery in the beer world, but as a business in a town that, like Plainfield. Like Plainfield isn't, it's not like fucking the craziest high end, but it's definitely not like lower. It's got a big scene and businesses that make a lot of money, and it's a community that's growing. It's not cheap to live there. It's pretty impressive everything you guys have been able to do over the last how many years. Is there more going forward? Do we have future plans? Or are we kind of like status quoing for now?
Yeah, I mean, the way that we've, built everything is just as we needed it. And I think that's what's worked. And it's like we've expanded when we needed it. We've, got more equipment when we needed it. So it's just we're happy with
it's a good spot right now.
Spot.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still, investing in more equipment and different things to make things better and easier, and take some off the brewers. We only have 2 brewers, and they're hustlers, and they're
out there doing it.
They're doing awesome. So yeah, we're really happy with what's going on, and our intention isn't to,
Don't want to be billionaires.
Much bigger than
you guys aren't trying to be billionaires.
What big? No.
Craft beer billionaires.
Our intention is just to service the community and keep building as needed. But yeah, we're having fun.
Wind it all the way back to the beginning of the conversation and watching your parents be entrepreneurs. And it's like they weren't doing it to get rich. They were doing it like, we can call our own shots. We do our own thing. We make the money to support our family, or, it's not, you're not miserable because somebody's breathing down your neck every day because you got to answer to them. It's good. It's good. Good story of business. A lot of these places got out over their skis. They wanted to get too big, too fast, or add this, add that. You guys have always known exactly who you wanted to be, and in my eyes, maybe usually like, no, we didn't.
Yeah,
but
no,
like,
I
that's
think,
the perception
we had
have
a goal
from the outside.
Yeah, I feel like we had the goal of where we wanted to be, and we're there. We're living it. Like we thought it would take us a lot longer to get to this point, but we have, like you said, an amazing team.
Yeah.
We don't have investors or anything. It's just the two of us, and
those are my favorite romantic stories. I think people are like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, that would be like one of my main things when I got into beer. Is like, yeah, but is there money involved? Like, who's backing what? Like, I don't know. I always had that romantic tie to like these breweries that kind of do it themselves, whether it's husband and wife or friends or home brewers that got together, whatever it was. I always loved that kind of just romantic story, I guess, to the business. And you guys definitely have one of the best ones. And I keep talking about the team. I say we end this with like Easter eggs for the team. Let's do like performance reviews for all the bartenders. Make them listen for 2 hours to get to the end to hear.
Oh my God.
I mean, just shout out to Nick. I mean, I love Nick so much. I don't know where you guys found him. I don't know what skate park or whatever, wherever you found this man at. He is a hero to me. I love this guy.
He was a bartender, and when we were opening the new space, and I forget if it was when. I think it was when Lisa was leaving, and she was managing both spaces. She was like helping manage
and she's at Omega now. Yeah.
She was helping manage the homebrew shop and the tap room, and we were opening the new tap room, and we're like, you're not gonna be able to do this because it's like the weekends and like the evenings and stuff. It's like, yeah. So Nick just appeared and
really just poof. There he was. Love it. I love it.
Can he handle this?
I mean, between Josh and Myra, there's too many to name, but I don't want to like leave anybody out. But everybody's so good there. Just Alita, the whole crew.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like the calm, cool, collectedness.
They just do it. They just do it.
Just does their shit.
Well, I think it's a reflection of you guys. You don't like overextend everybody. You don't like push it. You know, like you have to do this. You got to be doing this. Like, but glasses are clean. The beer is good. The service is quick. It's super friendly. We will have a conversation with you if you want to have a conversation with us. And then they look out for each other too, which I think is really cool. It seems like a good group.
Yeah, and like you said,
where's Matt at? Where's Matt and his dad jokes and his magic tricks?
People have been there for 6-7 years.
What like a feather in the cap, right? Man, you got to be proud of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Either way, you got to be proud of that. The best of the best. Anything else you want to talk about? You want to just go for like another hour about twins and how that works?
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast.
And you're potty training right now?
Yeah.
And you're potty training right now?
Oh, Brandon's about to lose his mind.
Really?
Oh.
So does he get? Are you like the calming force? Do you have to like calm him down? Like,
yes and no. I mean, we both have everyone
both
has
freak
their
out
moments.
Here and there.
But yeah, I think we equal each other out. Like when one is freaking out, the other is the calm one.
You guys are a hell of a team. It's true. You really are.
Because it's like,
how else would it work?
It's a lot of shit.
A lot of piss is what it is right now.
Right.
It's piss everywhere.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
I mean, they're crazy.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's busy. I don't know. That's only I keep saying that.
You shut it down, right? No more of these kids.
No, it's not scientifically possible.
Oh, okay, all right. We're going into that.
Actually, they're like actually triplets. Mabel and the boys. They're not really, but
basically
they were made at the same time, and the boys were frozen.
That's
for years.
Think about that. But you don't know.
Isn't that crazy?
But you don't know that they're twins. I don't know how science works.
So actually, identical twins is not hereditary.
Okay.
So it's just totally random.
But it's fraternal?
And I only had one embryo left. Dun, dun, dun.
And that motherfucker went deuce.
Rogue.
Just said, hey, guess
what?
They transferred
one embryo, and the doctor came in, and she's like,
uh-oh.
You're having twins.
What was your first reaction?
Well, I was, this was during COVID.
Yeah.
Or just after, I guess.
What did we do?
And I went for the ultrasound by myself. And the technician's looking at it. She's like, okay, here's number 1. And at that point, you're just like, okay.
What did you say?
Looking. And then I like froze and I'm like, yeah, she said 1.
She did.
And then she's like,
why'd she say that?
Here's number 2. And then I'm like, that's not possible. There was only 1.
How does that even like just...
So after the transfer,
divide and
it's
conquer.
split into 2.
Just divide and conquer.
Isn't that
What
crazy?
the
It's
hell?
such a crazy thing.
Well,
1.8% chance of happening.
Really? No shit. They're absolute studs, though. 100%
I mean, they're
chance
awesome.
of that.
Now I can't.
The heir
now
to
you
the
can't think
workforce
of, like,
fortune is
not
on its
having them,
way.
but
I know, right? So that's our JJ.
Yeah.
Like, we can't even think about
But
not
we've,
having them.
in the beginning, it's hard to think back. Like, we didn't, we may have not had any kids at all.
Mm.
And then we had Mabel.
And then
it was
booyah.
like, okay, let's try one more time. We only have one embryo left. Let's just try it.
Mhm.
See
Take a
if
shot.
it works. If it works, doesn't, we're done.
You guys had a hell of
2.
a success rate there. He blew right past 100%. He said, we're just going to go ahead and tack
Yeah.
one more on. Why
So
not? Why the hell
It
not?
was quite the chat of the fertility center when they
Oh,
did
yeah?
that ultrasound.
Oh, they
they
were
were
like,
excited.
bingo,
Oh, yeah.
we did
Everyone
it.
was excited.
Like, we're that good at our jobs. We gave you more than you
Oh
asked
my
for.
God.
That's insane. I don't even know what I would do with that. I think that's information I'm like, huh?
Yeah, so then once she showed me the ultrasound, I was like, I have to call my husband. So then I FaceTimed him, and he's like, he was at work, and he's like, I gotta go outside. What am I looking at? And I'm like showing him the ultrasound. He's like, so do those go like back together? Like that was his first comment. Nope. 2 heartbeats, 2 babies.
He knew, but he didn't.
Yeah,
really,
he's like,
he didn't fully accept
what?
right away. He didn't fully accept right away.
That was shocking.
Well, I mean, that's all I got for you. I won't keep you too much longer, but let's wrap it up. What did you
Ooh,
drink
yeah.
there? That was just because this will be out probably Monday. So I mean, we get you in the center camera if you want to hold it up for we get you in the. She's right in the middle there. Here, I've never even used this camera. Check that camera out. Look, it's right behind you.
Hey,
So, yeah, there it is.
we got
Boom.
little big penguin,
This is fun.
new hazy.
New hazy. What are we?
Very
Is this
tropical.
like a nice single IPA? Like, are we talking like in the 5-6 percentage wise, or
I think we're 6-7. Yeah,
6-7-ish?
6-7ish.
nice single haze?
Very tropical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Pineapple.
I pulled some Shannon's.
mangoes.
I had to pour the ski jeans just because I haven't been ignoring it. So, but I poured Shannon one of those before you and I started recording, and I took a little swig off it, and I was kind of mad that I didn't just pour one of those. But I
Well,
got
you
2
got
extra
2
ones.
more.
Thank
got
you.
2 more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're
It's
the best.
delicious.
So, anything coming up in the next couple weeks event wise that people should be looking out for? I know January is the doldrums month, and now we're in early February.
Yeah. So we
You're just
got
really relying on the community and people to
Yeah.
come out and
the 22nd. We've got our collab with Rocky Reef, Stupid Sticky
that's
Fingers.
Stupid Sticky
Releasing.
barrel aged.
We have music that night
We'll
with
be doing
Pete Jive.
2-pack cans still, 16 ounces,
2-pack. Yep.
and then who you got playing?
Pete
Music?
Jive.
Is that the old boy that does it by himself? That's goes nuts. He's so good. The long hair.
No,
No,
that's
I'm
Jake
thinking
Willis.
Jake, yeah,
Yeah.
Jake's pretty
he
good
was
too.
here a couple weeks ago, but Pete's great. And then what else? And then for St. Patty's Day weekend, what's that? The 15th is the Saturday.
Something like that. Yeah.
We have a big Irish party band and
Of course.
all that fun
Got
stuff.
pipes and drums going through.
I don't
the middle?
know.
No?
Not
quite?
yet,
All
but
right.
I don't know.
Did you guys used to host little jam, Irish jam nights somewhere? Did you guys used to go to Chicago Street when they did that? Brando plays, right?
Yeah.
Brando's a
We used to go.
musician.
He used to go to bluegrass circles, and we did do
Bluegrass
bluegrass jams on Sundays. We have done that in the past. I know. Maybe we need to bring it back.
Well, yeah, that's up to Brando and his House of Awesomeness.
Yeah,
What would you have called it? If it was your version of that?
like for
It'd have
myself.
been elegant,
Oh, I don't know.
Amanda's House of Photography. It would have been very smart and elegant. Not
luxurious.
Brando's House of Awesomeness. We'll come on down and get fucked up and play with shit that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Well-
would just have dinner parties all the time. That
Just
would be my vibe.
Classy dinner party. Just
Yeah.
cash dinner parties. That's what. Can you do that? Can you figure out a way to do that at workforce? Amanda's dinner party nights.
Well, Happy Belly's doing them. They're doing.
We need some flavor. Maybe you work with them to make it a little.
So
more
I
you.
do all the decor.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. That's all we need then.
Yeah.
I feel like I need you there directing traffic though. Really.
Yeah.
Making an
I do like
experience.
doing
Making an
that.
Amanda experience.
Well, so we do.
People would pay for that.
We do. I do make it pretty special. The Valentine's Day is pretty special.
Oh.
We transform the party space
Wait, when's
It's
this
pretty
happening on
Tomorrow night.
tomorrow night? So
Ticketed.
what's tell me more. I didn't realize. I mean, this is people aren't going to take advantage of it because
Yeah, we did it for friends. We did like a Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, but we do one single table of 30 people, and
community.
it's
Sorry if you don't know each other. You're gonna get to know each other.
Yep. And then
So Valentine's Day is going
and
to be the same type concept.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Thanksgiving when I.
Oh yeah, no. All of the dinner parties that Happy
oh.
Belly and us have been doing are 30-person table, one table.
What's on the menu? Is it like sold out? Like, is it,
it's sold out. It's like a 5-course, like fancy dinner party.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what's the price tag on this thing? What
$95 a person.
So $95 a head, and like, what are they
Beer
serving?
pairing, and
what
they're
kind of stuff are they serving?
homemade pasta.
Holy shit, that's what I'm talking about.
Braised, I don't know, short ribs, or they're probably gonna
Sounds
yell at
Italian.
me because I'm messing it
They'll
up.
never hear it. They'll never make it 2 hours in, Amanda. Come on, nobody's got this kind of patience.
Yeah, but they're fun. And
yeah.
I mean, Happy Belly, their catering is awesome, and it's so they get so excited about these dinners because they can just make up a whole new menu, do it just special for that event, and it's like a legit fancy dinner.
I can't. I'm
on China.
I've got to get in on one of these.
It's really fun.
All right. Well, fuck it. We're going to the next one. Then I gotta figure that out. I didn't know this was happening. I need to pay attention more to social media, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming out. Once you get back to life.
Thanks for having me.
Anything else you want to let anyone know before we
just come out and party.
Come out and party. That's all she wants is for you to
just
have a
I
good
just
time.
Want you to have
at
a good
Workforce
time.
Brewing.
Yes.
And she will have a good time because you're having a good time.
Yes, exactly.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming out. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
I'll be in real soon. All right. See you.
Thank you.